IDF spokesperson put it slightly differently with a post directed at UNRWA. 9 of your employees might have participated in the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Your relief agency has officially stooped to a new level of low, and it's time that the world sees your true face. The investigation started in January after the Israelis provided evidence that was strong enough for UNRWA to immediately fire some of the accused employees, and all worked for the United Nations aid agency tasked with educating, sheltering, and feeding Palestinians in Gaza. Someone who's been on top of this story since October 7th is Hillel Neuer, executive director of UN Watch, who'll join us in a minute. He testified before Congress 6 months ago, shortly after the initial firing of several UNRWA employees in the aftermath of the accusations. He testified that none of this should have come as a surprise.
Secretary General Guterres announced that he was, quote, horrified to learn that members of his UNRWA staff were implicated in terrorism. We've been uncovering, publishing, and submitting to the UN, to UNRWA, evidence of widespread and systematic incitement to jihadi terrorism, the praise of Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, calls to slaughter Jews on the part of UNRWA teachers, school principals, and other employees.
And all of that was allegedly before October 7th. Hillel Neuer joins us now. For years, he's been critical of the UN's perspective when it's come to the conflict. He is also an attorney, executive director of UN Watch. Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you make of this? I mean, it sounds like it's a concession, but yet the actual language says may have been involved.
Look, thank you for having me. The announcement yesterday is bizarre. Indeed, as you said, in January, UNRWA announced that they had fired a dozen of their employees who had been implicated in the terrorist massacre of October 7th, and they said they would further investigate. Now we are 6 months later, the investigation is complete, and all they can say is, yeah, we really fired 9 people because they may have been. Actually, the language says, if the evidence is authenticated, it could indicate that they may have been involved. So you have 3 different qualifications. It amounts to an incredible amount of weasel words. This UN agency, UNRWA, is unable to take seriously and take the blame for the fact that 9 of their staffers engaged in mass murder, rape, sadistic atrocities. Actually, the UN won't even tell us which particular atrocities caused them to be fired.
Well, let's be clear. They would never have fired these people if they weren't convinced that they were involved. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Right. So there's no ambiguity. We always say actions speak louder than words, right? Their words are a mealy-mouthed mix of nonsense, but the actions make it clear that they're convinced that these 9 were actually involved in October 7th.
Absolutely. Despite those 3 qualifications, if, could have, may have been, in a press conference, the UN spokesperson acknowledged that basically it's either likely or highly likely that they were implicated. And of course, they wouldn't have done anything if there wasn't compelling evidence that they were given.
There is a video that I was stunned actually exists of an alleged UNRWA staffer dragging one of the bodies. Talk to us about what this is.
Well, this is on October 7th, a young 21-year-old Israeli named Jonathan Samarano was apparently murdered, and his lifeless body is what you're seeing being kidnapped by an UNRWA social worker, named Al-Alimi. And this was authenticated by the Washington Post back in February. We brought his mother, his poor mother, we brought her to Switzerland in Lausanne a few days ago to confront the head of UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, where he was shamefully invited as the guest of honor at a ceremony in Lausanne. And she confronted him and she shouted, "UNRWA kidnapped my son. Where is he, Mr. Lazzarini?" He had no answer.
Very quickly, when it comes to funding of UNRWA, the U.S. used to be the top funder internationally, but now the U.S. has halted funding for UNRWA. Is that correct?
That is correct. The Congress forced the Biden administration to stop funding UNRWA till at least March 2025. And let's be honest, this isn't really just about a few bad apples. Yeah. UNRWA is rotten to the core. The heads of their teachers' unions in Lebanon, in Gaza, are senior Hamas terrorists like Su'el al-Hindi of Gaza, close colleague of Yahya Sinwar on the Hamas Politburo, was head of the Gaza UNRWA Teachers Union. The heads of UNRWA are terrorists. We shouldn't be giving them a dime.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.